I
play
need to
or
go.
something
Yeah,
at
yeah,
exactly 2, they'll give me clearance. I'm able to talk, and then we'll move on. This is like...
It's pretty bright today. Just smile.
No.
You're gonna have to get one of those. What are they called? The pocket squares. You're gonna get a reusable pocket square.
Sometimes they do. They're distracting.
Yeah.
Or sunglasses.
Carissa usually has those face blotters around too.
Yeah.
You know, like many people.
I think the entrance is in the front. Yeah. You can cut there. It's okay. We're not recording yet.
Audrey? No.
Got it.
Is Adri coming?
Is he in the building? Are we in this building today? Not this building, right? This is the building we're in? Okay.
Have people texted Adri?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Audrey's
then
on
I
her
won't.
way.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they are second to last. So
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, there's Audrey over there.
Okay.
perfect.
Audrey's being followed by a reporter.
Oh, is he being filmed today or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yesterday during the march, I was just like, why is this dude following you?
You're like, who is that? Is that the
And Audrey was like,
paparazzi?
oh, I'm part of a documentary.
It's Audrey Rossi.
Yeah, Adri Rossi.
Audrey's friend coming stand in the back here.
Yes. No.
Hey, Audrey. Can you have your person stand in the back?
Everybody?
Am I person? I don't know. I don't understand now.
What is that? Are you speaking?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do we have something?
Oh, yes. I have an ID.
No, those people that just have the actual Wednesday stuff, or those you might have to look at it. Oh yeah, these might be from. So we can have them.
Thank you so much for coming.
Hey,
Melda, can you organize things?
Thank you.
y'all wanna come?
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for
Thank you.
coming.
Yes.
Right here in this middle lane would be.
I think all of you three?
Oh, like in the middle.
With this? Okay,
There we go.
Thank you.
Maybe over there too, Erica, behind them.
We're good?
Good. Okay, I'll be still.
Thank you. 2, 1. All right. Okay. She's going to be very impressed that we are on time.
Yes, you will. You're right.
Your last minute checks.
Yeah.
Your flyaways down. Always willing to do anything.
It's not the last interview either.
I like that. Kind of amazing. Okay. I'm here for the tears moment, whatever you need. Oh, yeah. We might have read it once. Yeah.
We're just waiting for a thumbs up, folks. I know.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. It's a good turnout. As it
Great.
should be.
Are you staying the night?
In session? Is it in person?
Busing it? Are you going back to the office with me?
I don't know that far. I was just gonna go sit at the Hyatt at this point.
That's more than 3 minutes.
I don't know. Would be a thumbs up. You know, we're not usually this punctual.
No. I'm very proud of us.
It's not her fault.
Tell me if it's 2:01 so I can tell her she was late.
Okay. It's 2 o'clock now. So.
As we know.
You got the green light? All right. Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming. Welcome. My name is Ricardo Martinez. I'm the Chief Executive Officer for Equality Texas. I use he, him, his pronouns. I'm joined here with leadership from our incredible coalition partners, the Transgender Education Network of Texas, Lambda Legal, the Human Rights Campaign, Texas Freedom Network, and who am I missing? And Equality Texas. There's 6. If I miss someone, I apologize. I'm incredibly glad that everybody's here. I never thought that I'd live to see the day where people at the highest levels of power in Texas would actively attack innocent children and in the process disrupt the loving homes of families who are trying to do right by their kids. Let me be very clear. Opinions by the Attorney General and the directive given to DFPS by the governor and the department's willingness to participate in political theater are unconscionable and unforgivable and are causing irreparable damage to Texans across this state. Not long ago, we fought 76 anti-LGBTQ bills here in Texas. Parents and their kiddos courageously showed up to the Capitol time and time again to defend their humanity. And the organizations behind me, warned everyone about the dangers that this rhetoric was having on our community and especially transgender kids, adults, and the people who love them. But it wasn't enough to say that crisis contacts from LGBTQ young people in Texas seeking support grew 150% in 2021 when compared to the same time in 2020. It wasn't enough to say that between January 1st and August 31st, 2021, the Trevor Project received more than 10,800 calls, texts, emails from kids, young people in Texas who are experiencing crisis as a result of the conversation that was happening at the Capitol about their humanity. It wasn't enough that Equality Texas saw an escalated incidents of bullying and harassment. We've had over 40 in 2021 documented cases of kids who are being bullied, relentlessly, physically assaulted, and folks in need of support. Despite the warnings, lawmakers passed HB 25, a bill that prohibited trans kids from participating in sports, robbing them from many of the only time that they feel like part of a team in school. And unlike in interim years, non-legislative years, the assault on our community, our extended family, has not ended. And here we are in court once again to defend our humanity, to warn about the unconstitutionality of the witch hunt to persecute loving families. And it's frankly exhausting. What started as a bigoted political stunt by the Attorney General and the governor has turned into political persecution, going after those who have been civically active and testified against legislation. That's a whole nother level of evil. Prioritizing attacking kids with loving families when there are kids in foster care sleeping in administrative offices, awaiting placement, DFPS workers with stagnant wages and unmanageable caseloads, is negligent leadership. Texans deserve much better, and more than 70% of us believe that discrimination against our community is wrong. Every trans and LGBTIA plus person, regardless of race, class, gender, sexual orientation, or ability, deserve to live happy and authentic lives without government intrusion. The effort in Texas to ban life-saving medical care is outrageous and an abuse of power. I urge all Texans to speak out against the targeted assault on our communities. We need all of our allies, and silence will not keep us safe. It has not kept us safe. Indifference will allow this attack to continue. Parents of trans kids who are with us today, watching from home, please know this. There are thousands of people across Texas who are fighting for your right to exist authentically and safely in this state. And we will not give up. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Val Benavides, and I am the Executive Director of the Texas Freedom Network, a grassroots organization of more than 170,000 religious and community members, as well as young Texans who support equality and social justice. I am also a mother and a friend and an ally to transgender Texans and their families. It's extremely upsetting to see Texas Governor Greg Abbott and Attorney General Ken Paxton further traumatize transgender children and their parents. I'm here representing the faith leaders who believe transgender children are a blessing. I'm representing the young adults mobilizing voters who believe deeply that we shouldn't be targeted for who we love or who we are, and I'm here to fight with our community against destructive directives from our state's politicians. While Abbott and Paxton are trying to turn friends and neighbors against each other to create a vigilante state of hate, we're here in unity to say that groups like TFN, the Transgender Education Network of Texas, Equality Texas, HRC, the ACLU, Lambda Legal, and others will do everything in our power to protect transgender children and their families. What Abbott and Paxton are doing is harmful with possibly long-lasting effects on children. It's despicable that they care more about their political aspirations than the families of Texas. We're coming from a full year of attacks on the rights of LGBTQ people and are going into another year of what's already been a constant battle where our communities are being erased and censored from books, and now we're seeing a direction in denying gender-affirming care. But Paxton and Abbott do not scare us and will never separate us. Texans deserve so much better than egocentric leaders who don't care about the children who call Texas home. Our message to them is loud and clear. Transgender children are a blessing, and we will fight back against your cursed views. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Rebecca Marquez, and I'm the Texas State Director for the Human Rights Campaign. It is always an honor when I get to stand alongside young transgender Texans and their families. Unfortunately, in Texas, I usually get to do that because lawmakers, and now the governor and attorney general, have doubled down on attacks against them. These attacks are part of a campaign that threatens criminal penalties against parents seeking gender-affirming care for their trans kids. These kids who are under attack from their own government are the most powerful advocates. That's not surprising. They've had a lot of opportunities. Some of them have been coming to the Capitol session after session, year after year, since 2017. For many, they have been defending their existence to lawmakers, those elected to represent them, for more than half of their lives. In the last legislative session, a bill that would have done what the governor has done, which defines age-appropriate, medically necessary gender-affirming care as child abuse, fortunately did not pass. Evidently, Governor Abbott was not content to push his hateful agenda just every 2 years through the legislature. Instead, he felt compelled to find another way to target and harass transgender children in a way that completely circumvents the legislative process. He announced it last week, and this week, loving families of trans children are under investigation. While this approach is unique to Texas, the effort to limit rights of transgender people is not. Across the country, this year alone, more than 125 anti-trans bills have been introduced. It's all part of a coordinated effort by anti-LGBTQ extremists. For every bill that is introduced, the transgender community suffers. Every headline, every hearing, every minute spent worrying about these efforts increases depression, isolation, stress, and fear for transgender children, teens, adults, and the people who love them. More than 7,000 parents today have signed a statement of solidarity with Texas parents. Parents who can't be here today to speak for themselves because the actions have made them afraid. Parents across the country are sending a message. We're fed up with the misinformation, and we're fed up with you telling us how we can protect and care for our kids.
Hello everyone, my name is Marty Beyer. I'm the Director of Programs at Texas Freedom Network. I am a non-binary adult. I am a parent, and today I'm reading on behalf of a parent who isn't here today, who wanted to be here today, but out of fear for their family, sent a statement in their absence. I can't be here today to speak because my family is scared and worried that speaking publicly could lead to criminal investigation. That sounds outlandish, but it is the reality for many Texas families. We began the process of leaving Texas last year after the hearing for SB 1646, a bill criminalizing affirming parents of transgender children as child abusers. We will be gone soon to a state that with explicit protections for trans kids and adults. We are leaving behind our family, our friends, and our community. We are leaving behind the city where my husband and I have both been raised and where we started our family. We are leaving behind careers. We are leaving the home we thought we would raise our children to adulthood in. Our family never imagined that we would move so far away, and certainly never imagined we would become political targets in our own state. It has taken a year of planning and significant resources to be able to do this, and we have left feeling fortunate to at least have the means to flee our home and the ability to protect our child from our own government. So many families do not have the ability to leave, and no one should ever be faced with the difficult decision to uproot their life to protect their children in America. We are incredibly thankful to the families who will stay and continue to fight this, but leaving is the only choice for our family. We are choosing to grieve the loss of our home instead of the loss of our child. Governor Abbott and Kim Paxton have said that standard best practices of pediatric care as outlined by the American Academy of Pediatrics, the American Medical Association, and the American Psychological Association are child abuse. Our experience is the opposite. This standard of care is life-saving, essential medical care. I am certain that without it, I would have lost a child to suicide. As it is, I worry that we have not left soon enough. My child is abused, but not by me. My child is abused by the Republicans in this state that have made transgender children the center of a culture war they never signed up for. The Texas Republican Party has made attacking transgender children a priority instead of focusing on any of the very real problems our state faces. This is a political fight, and our children are the casualties.
Good afternoon. My name is Adri Perez, and my pronouns are they, them. I'm a transgender, first generation immigrant, non-binary Texan, and I am the policy and advocacy strategist for the LGBTQIA+ equality for the ACLU of Texas. So my story is a little bit different, because my family moved from Mexico to the United States in 1993, shortly after I was born, and they left their lives in Mexico, their whole lives, so that I could grow up in this country that promised a better life. And just like that, Texas became our home. We picked Texas. We chose to live here and be Texans. And here we built a life that was founded in perseverance and an unrelenting sense of hope. And it is because of my family that I work to fight, protect, and expand the rights of all Texans, because it was their hope that made me realize that a better life here in Texas and a better Texas was something that we would all have to fight for. It is because of their hope and their perseverance that I have been able to keep fighting when we keep being attacked with an onslaught of attacks simply for being who I am as a transgender person. I want to get started by saying that I knew I was transgender when I was 4 years old. And at 4 years old, my world was consumed by an obsession with learning how to swim in our apartment pool, by knowing the name and the diet of absolutely every dinosaur, and by learning how to beat my brothers at chess, and by spending time nuzzled up in the nook of my parents' arms whenever I had the chance. I did not know that the word transgender was a thing. I did not know that transgender people existed. I didn't have the language to describe it at the time, and I certainly didn't know that there was a medical diagnosis for what I was feeling, but I knew, and 25 years later, I am not wrong. As transgender people, we don't always get to have the privilege of knowing and accepting who we are at such a young age. For some of us, it takes much longer to get there, but we have always been here. Transgender people have always existed, and we have always been deserving of the same protections and rights as anyone else, regardless of our age. No family should have to fear being torn apart because they are supporting their trans child. I wish that I would have had that same support at a young age. It would have made a world of difference. The actions of the governor, the attorney general, and the Department of Family Protective Services are not only political and symbolic, they will harm families. This is not a theoretical harm. Kids could be ripped from their homes, from parents who love them, and from the support network that they have so carefully built in an already precarious landscape. This is very real, it is unimaginably cruel, and it must be stopped. This move by Abbott and Paxton is a partisan political attack that isn't rooted in the needs of families, the evidence from doctors, and the expertise of child welfare experts. After coming out at the age of 17, it took me nearly 3 years to access medically necessary, best practice, life-saving, gender-affirming care, and it saved my life. I would not be here without it, and I cannot stress that enough. When you choose to take this care away from people, you choose to end their life. All people, regardless of their race, background, or gender, should be able to access the health care that they need to thrive. Transgender Texans should be able to access this care because it is life-saving care, and denying that to our community and our community alone is pure discrimination with severe consequences. While many families may decide to leave the state and continue critical care for their child, not all Texans have that option. Enforcement will disproportionately impact Black families, Indigenous families, people of color, and without the resources to flee this state, we cannot allow this to stand, and we cannot rely on Greg Abbott and Ken Paxton making the rules for our state. Thank you.
Hi folks, my name is Emmett Schelling. My pronouns are he, him, his. I'm the Executive Director of the Transgender Education Network of Texas. We are a statewide, trans-led, trans-focused policy, education, and engagement organization. Since 2017, I've been coming to this city to plead, to be recognized for the fact I'm a person, the fact I exist, the fact that I'm worthy, and the fact that I should be treated with dignity and respect. I feel like my colleagues have gotten the message across about the harm, have outlined what is really going on. And so I think it's important to be done for me talking to an attorney general that doesn't see my humanity. I'm done talking to a governor that preys on children that are at their most vulnerable for political points. So I'm talking to my community. To trans kids, you are beautiful, and you are resilient, and you are loved. It takes so much to be who we are, unapologetically, openly, and courageously. For you to recognize your truth and have your parents love and support you is a special thing. Parents, hang in there. We are here. We are fighting. We are around the clock, and we are calling in reinforcements. We will not rest until we see dignity, we see respect, and we see freedom for our transgender community here in Texas, adults and children alike. We are done being kicked around by the leaders that are supposed to protect us, by the people we elect into these seats that face a responsibility to their community, to the state of Texas, to lead us in a way that benefits the state, that benefits its people, that doesn't hurt people. So I say to you, trans folks all over the state, all over the country, it's been incredibly hard. And I get it. Waking up, seeing headlines that are misleading, that are just factually incorrect, seeing an attorney general issue an opinion based on nothing with any merit, it's tiresome and it's traumatic. But there's an end to it, because myself and the people behind me and thousands of other people will make sure of that.
All right, folks, we're going to close with a couple of quotes from parents. As we mentioned before, there's a lot of fear, trepidation about coming out publicly while this witch hunt for parents of transgender kids is happening. But I did want to bring them in spirit. This is a parent from Abilene. I feel the simmering rage of a mama bear at the attempted violation of my family's private decisions in life-saving care. I feel awe, fierce love, and deep respect for my child who refuses to give in despite being hurt and afraid of what might happen. He's beautiful. A parent from Corpus Christi wrote, "On Monday, I was worried about LGBTQ kids in Florida. I believed our kids were safe in Texas, at least until the next legislative session. So this week hit me like a ton of bricks." Another parent from Austin, "I'm exhausted and I'm not sleeping well. I'm not present for my children. I'm struggling to get the smallest bit of work done. Abbott and the people who support and enable him have taken some of my joy and my peace." Another parent from Austin, "It's just a political stunt, people tell me. They're right. And I hope that voters keep that in mind, that Abbott and Paxton are willing to harm children for political gain, that these two men are willing to break up Texas families just to score political points." A parent from Houston, "We had a moment of panic and I felt incredibly distressed at the thought of DFPS knocking at my door. Loving and supporting a trans child is the antithesis of child abuse. We know our rights and will continue to do what is best for our child and our family." Another parent from Austin, "I'm sick in my soul that our leaders are once again attacking our most vulnerable youth and their parents. My child would not have survived without the support of her transition, and if she thought that would put me in danger, that would have been devastating to her." Houston, a parent from Houston, "I'm furious that Abbott and Paxton are using trans kids as political targets yet again. Relieved that we are moving out of state and full of anxiety for everyone who can't escape this nightmare." Another parent from Austin, "I'm shaking with anger, fear, grief, and a resolute commitment to keep the children safe from a state that seeks to harm them. I am afraid and weeping. This hurts so much." A parent from San Antonio, "My family is devastated, too in shock to process a state-sanctioned witch hunt against us, resulting in my child being removed from my home, put into foster care. The chronic stress, anxiety, and fear over giving my kid basic necessary care doesn't feel real." Another parent from Austin, "I try to stay positive, but it's hard when you feel like you're in an abusive relationship with your home state. I'm exhausted, anxious, scared, and most of all, angry. But hell had no fury like the righteous indignation of a mother." another parent from San Antonio, and this is the last one. My kid had just seen her endocrinologist and talked about how she is 2 to 3 months away from starting puberty blockers. I was anxious, angry, and sad. I was born in Texas and have a business here. It makes me feel physically ill to imagine having to flee this state. Thank you everybody for coming. I hope this underscores the urgency of what we're experiencing here in Texas, the crisis that our community has been facing for now over 2 years, and the need for urgent mobilization from folks who are on our side and believe that taking care of your child, that loving your child is the right thing to do. Thank you very much. We will have individual interviews if you'd like, and we have someone that can help coordinate. Thank you very much.